Mr. Youm-Kela, good morning, and thank you very much for joining us here in Brussels for this interview with Vox Africa. You are the Managing Director of UNIDO, and you are here in Brussels for a workshop on agribusiness and development in Africa in cooperation with the European Union. My first question is to ask you, for a long time, international institutions are talking about Africa, agribusiness, opportunity, challenge. So I want to know what is the new, the new and the good story on this area that we're going to talk about during this workshop.
Well, thank you for having me on your program. First of all, let me say that the context is different. When we have talked about agriculture in Africa, and I use the old word agriculture in Africa, we talk about it when there is a famine in Africa and some disaster, and we worry about African food security. What we have done here in this dialogue with the EU Commission is to talk about agribusiness investment in Africa as an opportunity in a context where Africa is growing fast.
Okay, so there is a change on the
change in mentality that, you know, we can do business in agribusiness in Africa. Africa can be a supplier, a breadbasket for the world. There is a business opportunity, there is a business case to engage, but Africa itself is growing at 6%. Africa itself is attracting investments in other sectors. Africa itself has over 300 million middle class. Africa is fast urbanizing and the population is growing. Could this not be a business opportunity for European agribusiness? But also, should it not be the area we might target to deal with Africa's growing population and growing demand for jobs, youth employment? That's the context that is different.
Excellent. But do you have the competence in Africa to work in this new area of agribusiness?
Africa has the competence. Africa will need a lot of partnership like every other sector that needs support in Africa. But it has the competence in the sense that it has the comparative advantage. Africa has over 60% of the world's uncultivated arable land. Some parts of Africa have a lot of water they can use for irrigation, so they don't have to depend on rain-fed agriculture. It's natural. Agriculture is natural to us. What we emphasize here is not just agriculture. We're emphasizing agribusiness, developing the supply chain, value chain, processing, and value addition into processed foods. That way you preserve it longer. That way you bring more to the market. That way you can trade. We also emphasize the input supply, fertilizer, machinery, so the general commercialization of African agriculture as a business proposition, and also as a way of the world looking at how we're going to feed the 9 billion people will have in 2050 globally, 2.2 billion of which will be in Africa itself.
But you are not alone to take care of this opportunity. Also, FAO, talk about that, World Bank, FME, and other institutions. The thing I want to know if there is a coordination, or each institution are doing the same work.
We are all focused on this right now. IFAD, FAO, World Bank, UNIDO, many others. UNIDO, we've been catalytic in sending the agribusiness and agro-industry message beyond agriculture. We are all collaborating. On my side, I did this publication with some colleagues. Yes, in 2011. And we've been to the World Bank, Agence France de Développement, many, over 7-8 countries have asked us to launch this publication. It was a way of making the case that we must look at agriculture beyond agriculture, but look at agribusiness supply chain development. So yes, we are all collaborating. You need FAO to look at enhancing farm productivity. seeing how we improve varieties, most of the agronomics, seeing how we can enhance fertilizer uptake, irrigation, infrastructure. The World Bank is key in providing the financing that is going to be needed, but also the technical knowledge. The bank is a powerhouse. We're collaborating with them. But IFAD, my brother Wenzi, Kanayon Wenzi and I, we've been on TV in Nigeria and other places, because agribusiness development is tied to rural development. So IFAD is looking at, again, those supply chains that we advocate, and value addition will help to enhance the rural economies. But of course, UNICEF and others are concerned because of nutrition. And so you see, it's a challenge that requires a holistic approach. But underpinning all of that must be public-private partnership. We're not talking about aid models here. Again, that's what is different in this seminar. You heard me this morning. I said we're talking about business, not charity. We are not talking about a famine. And I said it is in Europe's interest to do this. You saw the statistics today. In Europe, the food and beverage sector is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, sector here. Over $1 trillion in revenues every year. That's big. And this is the same story we have for Africa. When you add value, when you develop those supply chains, you create jobs and wealth. And Africa needs to generate 10 million jobs a year. The latest figures we have for 2013, 10 million new jobs a year for the youth. We're saying to Europe and others, agribusiness can have multiple core benefits. Food security, job creation, wealth creation for those restless youth that need real jobs, and they need to be fed too.
So you say you have a strong partnership with the European Union. You are here for this workshop. 1 year ago, I did an interview with you from the European Development Days with Mr. Piebalgs, the Commissioner on Development. So do you have something to tell us about success story, about result, about good news that this partnership between UNIDO and European Union already brings to Africa on the ground?
Yeah. Well, as you know, I'm collaborating with several commissioners here, Commissioner Piebalgs, Potocznik in environment, Connie Hedegaard in environment, Vice President Tijani on the trade and development side, and youth employment. Vice President Tijani and I were in Tunisia this year. A big forum, almost 1,000 people with the Prime Minister and the Cabinet, and we brought in 300 youth to talk about how we need to create jobs and the kind of skills that will be needed in industry. For me, that was a big deal because this is a country coming out of crisis. But the difference was Vice President Tijani came with investors and businessmen. He did not come just with bureaucrats or experts from universities. No, he brought the businessmen to say, look at Tunisia, there's business opportunity. We're going to do the same in Nairobi in a few months, also together with the Conference of African Ministers of Industry. But you have to know that Vice President Tijani and I were in Algeria 2 years ago with the same thing. So we're consistently taking the message forward, bringing European businessmen to link up with African businessmen. Second, Commissioner Piebalgs and I, we're promoting Africa's case for energy access. You cannot even develop this agribusiness without an energy source. Cheap, affordable, reliable energy. So one of the good things here is we're linking agribusiness and energy. And Commissioner Piebalgs and I were advocating in the world. He was with me this year, last November, in the AU, making the case and also working with the Commissioner for Energy and Infrastructure to see how we can help them attract investments into the projects developed by NEPAD. With Potocznik, we talk about environment and climate change. Why? If business as usual continues with climate change, this very agriculture we are talking about in Africa will be dead. We already have projections from the UNFCCC, that's the climate change group, that if business as usual continues and temperatures continue to rise, Africa will lose 50% of its crop yields. We have in other words, we will pay the biggest price for some other people's emissions. Africa only accounts for less than 3% of global emissions. But because you and I enjoy all the fancy cars and the air conditioning and polluting so much, Africa will pay the price. So you begin to see what we call joined up thinking. When